There is a vegetable so valuable that you can harvest it every single month of the year, even in January when your garden is frozen solid. A plant so productive that one planting feeds you for a decade without replanting. It was the obsession of Roman emperors, the secret weapon of medieval monks, and the star ingredient in royal feasts for over 1,000 years. Yet if you ask 10 gardeners today what it is, 9 of them will have never heard of it. This is not about a crop that disappeared because it failed. It vanished because it succeeded too well. It was too productive, too independent, and too generous for an industrial food system that profits from selling you seeds every single spring. We traded perpetual abundance for annual dependency. This is the story of Sea Kale, Crambe maritima, the all-season vegetable of emperors, and the choice that buried it beneath a century of forgetting. Welcome to earthly gardening. The vegetable that breaks every rule. To understand why Sea Kale is different, you first need to understand what makes it impossible to industrialize. Every vegetable in your supermarket follows the same exhausting pattern: plant in spring, harvest in summer or fall, then do it all over again next year. It's a cycle of constant expense and labor. Sea Kale laughs at that system. Plant it once, and it produces for 10 to 15 years. But here's where it gets wild: you can harvest it in 4 completely different ways across all 4 seasons, getting 4 distinct vegetables from the same plant. In winter, December through March, when your garden is a frozen wasteland, you pile soil or a bucket over the dormant crown. In the darkness, it sends up ghostly white shoots called chards, blanched and tender, with a flavor described as asparagus meets hazelnuts meets celery. This is what made it famous. In early spring, March to April, you harvest the young flowering shoots before they open, eating them exactly like sprouting broccoli. Steam them, toss them with butter, and you have a delicacy that once commanded premium prices in London markets. In late spring and summer, May through August, you harvest the young leaves. They're slightly bitter when raw but transform into something extraordinary when cooked, like a sophisticated cousin of collard greens with a mineral, oceanic depth. In fall, September through November, you can collect the seeds, which can be pickled like capers or sprouted for microgreens. 1 plant. 4 harvests. 12 months of food. And it gets better. This is a maritime plant, evolved on the brutal coastlines of northern Europe where salt spray, howling winds, and freezing winters kill everything delicate. Sea Kale developed an immune system that makes it nearly indestructible. It has no significant pests. No diseases. Deer hate it. Rabbits avoid it. Slugs ignore it. It's a plant designed to survive apocalypse-level conditions and still feed you. The lab work confirms what the emperors knew. While modern vegetables have been bred for water content to increase shipping weight, Sea Kale is dense with nutrition. It contains high levels of vitamin C, even in winter. It's rich in glucosinolates, the same cancer-fighting compounds found in broccoli and kale. And because it's a perennial storing energy in a massive root system, it delivers minerals and flavor intensity that annual crops simply cannot match. This wasn't just peasant survival food scraped from the beach. This was luxury cuisine. When emperors paid tribute in vegetables. The Roman aristocracy were obsessed with sea kale. The historian Pliny the Elder describes how wealthy Romans would pay fishermen to collect the wild coastal plants and transplant them into private gardens. But transportation was slow and the plants were temperamental when young. The result? Only the elite could afford it. The Emperor Tiberius took this obsession to an extreme. According to historical accounts, he established imperial sea kale gardens and demanded regular shipments from the coldest regions of the empire because he believed the flavor was superior when grown in harsh climates. To Tiberius, this wasn't just food. It was a status symbol more valuable than exotic spices. After Rome fell, sea kale didn't disappear. It became even more important. Medieval monks, the master horticulturists of the Dark Ages, cultivated it obsessively. Why? Because of the hungry gap that terrifying window in late winter when stored food is gone and spring crops haven't sprouted yet. This is when communities starved. But sea kale could be forced in January and February, producing fresh, sweet shoots when nothing else would grow. It was literally life-saving. By the 1600s, sea kale had become a staple of aristocratic European gardens. In England, it was grown on grand estates and sold at premium prices in London markets. John Evelyn, the famous 17th-century writer and gardener, called it one of the most excellent and wholesome plants. Cookbooks featured elaborate preparations, from cream sauces to gratins to pies. Then something catastrophic happened. The agricultural shift that killed abundance. Sea kale's downfall had nothing to do with flavor or nutrition. It was murdered by the industrialization of agriculture in the 19th and 20th centuries. As farming shifted from small estates to factory-scale operations, a new hierarchy emerged. The only crops that mattered were crops that could be mechanized. Sea kale failed every test of industrial efficiency. It's perennial, meaning you can't till the field every year and replant in perfect rows. The harvest window is flexible, which means it can't be coordinated with mechanical harvesters. Blanching the shoots requires individual attention, either earthing up each crown or covering it with a pot. There's no machine for that. It requires human hands. Worst of all, from an industrial perspective, it doesn't produce a uniform product. One crown might give you thick chards. Another might be more delicate. The shoots don't all mature on the same day. You have to check each plant individually. For a Victorian estate garden with a team of gardeners, this was fine. For a capitalist food system that profits from volume and speed, it was unacceptable. At the exact same time, plant breeders were creating new annual vegetables that fit the industrial model perfectly. Carrots that grew straight and uniform. Cabbages that matured all at once. Crops that could be planted by machine, harvested by machine, and processed by machine. Sea kale, with its wild independence and need for individual care, was fired. Seed catalogs stopped listing it. Agricultural schools stopped teaching it. Within 2 generations, a vegetable that fed emperors and saved medieval villages from starvation became a botanical curiosity mentioned only in old gardening books. But here's the part that should ignite something in you. We are now in a global crisis trying to figure out how to grow food sustainably with less water, less fertilizer, less pesticide, and more resilience to climate chaos. Governments and corporations are spending billions trying to engineer new crops that can survive changing weather. Meanwhile, a vegetable that has survived on windswept, frozen coastlines for millennia, that needs almost no care, no pesticides, no annual replanting, and produces food 12 months a year, is sitting there, almost forgotten, in a few specialty nurseries and the gardens of eccentrics. Why sea kale is your secret weapon? The very traits that made sea kale worthless to industrial agriculture make it priceless to you. Because it's perennial, you buy the plant once. Not seeds every year. Once. You plant it, and it feeds you for a decade or more. Because it has no pests and no diseases, you never spray it. You never treat it. You never worry about it. Because it's cold-hardy to zone 4 and heat-tolerant to zone 9, it survives climates that kill delicate annuals. Because it's drought-tolerant once established, you don't have to baby it with irrigation. To harvest, you simply mound soil over the crown in December, wait 6 to 8 weeks, and pull back the soil to reveal pale, sweet shoots. Cut them, recover the crown, and it produces again. In spring, you harvest the flower shoots. In summer, you pick leaves. In fall, you collect seeds. Then winter comes and you start again. It is an infinite food system. The flavor is extraordinary. Those blanched winter chards have a delicate, nutty sweetness with a texture like tender asparagus. The spring shoots taste like the best sprouting broccoli you've ever had, with a slight peppery bite. The summer leaves, when briefly boiled and sautéed with garlic, have a complex, almost umami-rich depth. This isn't hippie nostalgia or heirloom obsession. This is strategic food security wrapped in gourmet flavor. The rebellion hiding in your garden. The story of Sea Kale is a mirror reflecting everything wrong with how we've been taught to eat. We've been conditioned to accept that vegetables must be planted every year, that they should look identical, that they come wrapped in plastic from a store, and that dependency on seed companies and fertilizer companies and pesticide companies is just how farming works. Sea Kale is proof that this is a lie. For over 1,000 years, this plant fed people without annual replanting, without chemicals, without machines. It thrived in some of the harshest climates on Earth and still produced gourmet-quality food in the dead of winter. It didn't fail. It was abandoned because it couldn't be controlled, commodified, and sold to you over and over again. But that's exactly why you should grow it. Growing sea kale is an act of agricultural rebellion. It's a rejection of the idea that you need to buy seeds every spring. It's a reclamation of resilience. It's a statement that you're willing to invest one season of effort for a decade of abundance. The plant is still out there. Specialty nurseries are slowly reintroducing it. Heirloom seed companies carry it. The knowledge isn't lost. Most people simply don't know it exists. They've been taught that food comes from supermarkets and that modern hybrids are superior in every way. But emperors knew better. Monks knew better. And now, you know better. If this video helped you discover something remarkable, subscribe to Earthly Gardening and hit the bell. Every like and every share helps preserve the knowledge they tried to bury. Some vegetables are too resilient to industrialize. Some flavors are too good to forget. And some treasures have been hiding in plain sight for 1,000 years, waiting for us to remember what the emperors knew. Thanks for watching Earthly Gardening.